What's up, guys? So today I have Jekyll and Heidi from Series 2000. So I just finished reading this the other day, and I remember really liking this book when I was younger. So I expected to like it a lot during my reread of it, and it jumps right in, starts right out with one of the darkest introductions of any Goosebumps book. The protagonist, her name is Heidi, the main character. Her parents, well, it doesn't happen in the book, but she explains that her parents died in a car wreck and she's going to live with her Uncle Jekyll in some faraway, isolated village because her parents died horrifically in a car wreck. What kind of Goosebumps book starts out like that? Off the top of my head, I cannot think of any Goosebumps book that does that. Right away, we just have a very super dark, grim introduction to the story, and Heidi's narrative is like pervaded by this feeling of gloom and sadness. It's very dark and serious. Now, I will say that so far, Series 2000 is generally a lot darker and more serious in tone than the original Goosebumps series was, but there's been a few books that really stand out as being even darker and more messed up and mature stories than some of the other ones. Off the top of my head, I believe Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls was one of those. Headless Halloween was one. And this is one of those also that kind of stands out at the top of those books. So that's one of the things I liked about this book, and it does very well, is it's very dark and grim and almost feels a little bit too, not quite, but almost feels a little bit too like mature to, be geared towards kids. So that's one good thing about it. Another thing I liked about this book is not just how dark and serious it was, because there's really not a lot of humor in this book either. It's just very, I keep repeating myself, but but anyway, one thing I did like about it as well is it reminds me a lot of Beware of the Snowman. It The whole like isolated village setting, it's very similar. She goes to live with her uncle. It's a very like small town slash village, not a lot of people. Very few characters are introduced in the story besides her uncle and her cousin. I think there might only be like one or two other characters introduced in the story besides them, from what I remember. But yeah, it's just very similar to Beware the Snowman. Very atmospheric. It does take place, I believe, in the winter. There is like some references to the snow in the book and stuff. Very like cold feeling. Not a lot focusing on the winter aspect of it, like Beware the Snowman was, but that's there a little bit. So yeah, those are the main things I liked about the book. Very atmospheric, dark, serious Goosebumps book. And the whole like first half of the book is just her trying to get used to her new life. She's going to live with her uncle, trying to fit in. Her cousin's not very nice to her. Not exactly mean, but she's just very quiet and keeps to herself. Her uncle is hidden away down in the lab the whole time, his like little lab room doing his experiments or whatever. And it's just a very sad book. There's just not really a lot of humor in here like there is most Goosebumps books. And yeah, so that's like the whole first half of the book. Then, more towards the second half, she starts getting suspicious of her uncle and starts hearing rumors about how he's, some kind of creature. And she's just trying to figure out what's going on and stuff. And then towards the end, we start getting some plot twists. R.L. Stine usually has multiple plot twists, as he does in this book. And this is the part of the book where I'm not really liking it as much. So there's one plot twist towards the end that's okay, it works. I enjoyed it. And then there's another twist after that that does not work. So towards the climax of the story, I don't want to spoil anything, But towards the climax of the story, when everything's going down and there's a bunch of crazy action in regards to the creature and the people of the village and stuff, that's about as much as I can say without spoiling it. There's a certain decision that one of the characters makes in this book that literally makes no sense as to why she makes that decision. And then at the very end of the book, as like the very last plot twist to come on to like the last page, takes place because of that decision she made a little bit earlier in the story. So it's hard to explain without really spoiling it, and I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, but if you've read this book or if you are about to read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The decision that the character makes is driven completely by plot or outline or whatever, just so we can get this twist ending that isn't even good. Honestly, it ruins the story for me. So that's the main complaint I have with this book. I really liked it up until a few of the events leading up to the ending, and then the very end of the book just really ruined it for me. It felt very abrupt, just kind of unnatural, forced. It's like R.L. Stine tried to squeeze in a little bit of humor too at the very last minute, and it just felt very out of place and jarring, and it just did not work for me. So overall, I like this book not as much as I remember liking it when I was younger. I think the whole first half of the book, or even a little over halfway, is really good, but those last couple of twists towards the end, including the decision that the one character makes, like leading up to that one twist, it just does not sit well with me. Did not care for it at all. It just felt very unnatural and forced, just so we can get that dumb twist ending. And also there are a couple of characters that kind of disappear at the end without explanation, and it also leaves a little bit of ambiguity to the ending too because of that. And that also I wasn't really happy with. So, along with a lot of other Series 2000 books so far too, it seems like the endings have not been very consistent. There's always been a lot of Goosebumps books that the endings are very controversial. Some of the twist endings are really good, brilliant, and a lot of them kind of ruin the book, and this is one of those for me a little bit. I really like the story being told here. As I've already said a bunch of times, it's a very emotional, dramatic story. Very serious and grim, and the ending just kind of ruins it for me. Overall, I think I give this one probably 3.5 out of 5. I don't know if I would say it's one of my favorite Series 2000 books so far, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. Definitely not one of the worst. I'd say so far it falls somewhere in the middle. I still have about 10 books left to go in the series. I think this is number 14, so yeah, about 11 books left to go in Series 2000. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll probably do maybe, I don't know, a couple more reviews or a few more reviews of individual Series 2000 books. We'll see. I just kind of do them if I feel like doing it or not. But at the end of reading all the Series 2000 books, I'm definitely going to do a ranking video. So stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching, guys.